Just a test 1 2.
Test 1 2.
Here we go then. Good evening everybody and welcome along the final time to this CRA race. We are at the final round here at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. Once again, I'm delighted to say we're continuing our traditions of being joined by drivers from our league. So a big welcome along to Krishna. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hi mate, I'm doing good, hope you're doing too. I'm looking forward for the last race. Hope it will be tight.
Yeah, no, so it is great to be back once again, as you said. Hello, Will, thanks for tuning in. Nice to see one of our drivers as well from the top division tuning in. So as you know, Chris, this is the CRA, the Cone Racing Academy Championship, where we're delighted to say that we have drivers who are new to league racing, trying out new assists, and are able to practice and improve going into what is the new game now, with 2020 officially out on pre-orders. It officially though comes out tomorrow, the 10th. So here we are then. This is the final race of the season. Have you been tuning in across the weeks, Chris?
Yeah, I've tuned in. I was able to go as a reserve too for 2 races. It's a good academy. The level is good. There are some drivers who are actually pretty fast.
Yeah, as you said there, you are obviously started out with us and were able to, as you said there, you reserved for 2 races where you yourself actually used this experience, and obviously from driving alongside you in the first season, I think it's really helped you come on. And you, like you said, there's fast drivers in here that are improving week on week. One of those we're on board with now in Toon Fan. He's won a race this year already, finished on the podium on debut. We've got Christian Galang and M66 who are in that championship battle, and it's quite an interesting championship battle because it's 19 points with this final round then. So, as Pheasant Plucker's given a 5-place grid penalty for a collision, so he's had an incident with Vegas on the opening lap there, I think coming through turn 7 or 8, and he's been given a 5-place grid penalty. So the racing points are qualified quite strong, but he'll suffer that a magnanimous fate of being 5 places back. What do you make of that?
I think it will be a hard race for him, because we all know that Christian, Toon and MT66 are going to be the first 3 in the qualifying, which I think, and I think if you have the 5 good place penalty, it will be really hard to achieve a good place in the race.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's something I've mentioned quite a lot on commentary this year already, is that battle. It was between M66 and Christian Galang. The opening sort of 5 or 6 races, they were 1 and 2 dicing with each other. I think M66 took a win, then it was Chris, then it was M66 and Chris, but Toon Fan come and join the party, didn't he, with a few races ago. I think Baku was his first victory. Austria was his first race on the podium. The following week, as I said, was his first win, and he unfortunately missed last week, but he's back again. And like you say, I expect that will be the top 3 unless something major happens. Obviously, we've got a difference now in terms of it's a 50% race, so it was short qualifying in 25%, but we've the drivers' behest, we put it up to 50%. So like you say, it's a hard enough race as it is, but when you've got to consider that it's a 50%, it's almost slightly easier because strategy does come into play.
It does really much, and we see that Toon is on the mediums for his first fast lap, and I think we will see many of the drivers going on mediums for the first stint of the race.
Yeah, and it is that thing with short qualifying. It's not normally, because you, as a Salt King, then sets the first lap of the race, first lap qualifying. Sorry, 1:35.6 is a good lap. Toon comes around the final corner. Then it's a 1:35.5, so he's faster on those mediums, as you said there. But that's the thing with short quali is sometimes you do have to sacrifice strategy for outright speed. As we can see, Digweed 1:33 on the softs goes top. But yeah, like you said, I expect a lot of medium runners during this race, because like you can take them longer into the race, and I think it could be a one-stop for those top drivers that are good with their sort of tyre management and tyre wear, but it might even be a two-stop for some of them.
I think it could be a two-stop really, pretty much, because I think we have to expect a safety car, at least one, because with 17 drivers there will be some incidents that we will see, and we will have a safety car. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, as you said there, there's been quite a few safety cars throughout this. As Christian Galan goes really wide coming through turn 5, lost the rear end. But that's the thing with this American racetrack as such. It's such a technical track because you've got the two long straights, you've got the fast right-handers at the start of sector 3, but you need the downforce for those opening sequences. I think it turns 3, 4 and 5 styled on Maggots and Beckett's, as we saw there just as we jumped on board with Christian Galang, was very, very tough for his car to get through, as we see that Roland on his flying up. So all the drivers apart from Chris Panda have come out and at least set a timed lap. Remember, there is an 18-minute session, so we've had 6 of that, and we can see there the Red Bulls both on the soft, not the Red Bull, sorry, the Racing Points on the softer tyres, 1 and 2, M66 in 3rd, and Christian Galang yet to set a time. So as we see, Dat Roland just invalidated his time coming around the final few corners. So it's interesting to see, especially with M66 up there on the mediums.
But I think he can do it because he has the race pace, and I think he can go for the 50% race too on the mediums at the start. And I think it will be a good option for him to have like the mediums on and see what will happen in the race.
Yeah, I said it is the alternate strategy. We've brought it up a few times in previous broadcasts, and I mentioned it at the start of this. You do have to worry sometimes about sacrificing strategy for grid position, but as you mentioned, a 50% race, etc., with the sort of pace that some of these drivers have, the track itself being on those medium tyres can be quite good for you as well. Greetings from Spain from Harvey. One of the reasons he's not in the commentary box today is obviously Chris has come and joined us, but also he is in Spain, a lucky person, managed to get out of quarantine. But I want to know, who do you think is going to take the title today, Harvey? Do you think it'll be Christian, or do you think it'll be M66 based on what you've seen this season? But yeah, so I don't know where your early money lies in terms of the race, Krishna.
Oh, this is a tough decision, I think. I think it's only about who will get a lap set without invalidating it, because if, like you said, the first sector with the fast corners are really hard to get, and if you get an invalidation there, you can really fuck up your qualifying, to say it in bad words.
Yeah, no, like you said, it's a tough one, because even the middle sector, as we ride on board with Matt Warner now, it is very tough to get the right level of downforce and drag, like you say. And you mentioned there, who's it going to be? It is one of those interesting ones, but a lot of drivers go in for the soft tyres. I think only 3 now without the mediums. As Matt comes through the final corner, then what's this time going to be? It looks like it's going to be a 1:38 or so. No, it's a 1:36.4, so that puts him P12, as that's very good. We've got 2 drivers then on outlaps yet to set a time, and 1 in the pits. One of those is Christian, Chris Panda as well on the mediums, and Dat Roland, who invalidated that previous lap.
Yeah,
so here we go then.
Chris Panda is going on his first hot lap at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll ride on board with him then as we come onto this lap of the Circuit of the Americas. You want to go up the hill, braking harshly down into second gear then for that tight left-hander of turn 1. Open up the car on the exits as you come round into turn 2. The right-hander, keep your foot planted to the floor. It's then this Magnus Beckett's like section of 3, 4, 5, and then the tight bending right of 6 through turn 7 and a 90-degree up the hill towards turn 8. Another slight right-hander. Turn 9 takes you on towards the back straight. We can put your foot down to the floor, then you reach about 180 miles an hour, braking just after the 100 metre board, usually 75 metres as you come round the tight turn 10. And then this is the first DRS zone of the lap. As we see there, Chris puts that Renault flap open, coming in towards turn 11 as you brake once again just about 75 metres to the corner. It's a tight apex on the left hand serve, carry a little bit of the curb, open the car up as you come into turn 12. It's purple from Chris. He runs a little bit wide on the exit of 12 though, keeping nice and tight through this section of 13, 14, 15 is the sharp left then. You can run a little bit wide on the exit but don't go too wide. A little bit of a twitch there from the front of that Renault car coming through what is 16, 17 and 18, then the lovely sequence of right-handers before you throw the left-hand side into turn 20. There's Fezsenblack on the left, coming round then to the final corner, turn 21, another 90-degree left, shifting down into second, back on the power, and Chris invalidates. Chris Panda has invalidated his lap time. He went really well. 1:44.7 would have put him in P6, but invalidating there.
I think he was just a bit too cautious on the first sector. If he was going a bit harder there for the corners, he should be able to go to the top 5.
Yeah, problem there, but yeah, no, as you say, he looks like he had the pace from that lap to get up towards top. Maybe he took pole a few weeks ago, and he looked very good there on those mediums. If he goes onto the softs, it'd be interesting to see what he can do. We've had half the time. Dat Roland invalidates again then through that section there in those sort of left-right lefts that we see there. So he will need to come out again. We've got Chris invalidating. The only two drivers then not to set a time are those. We've got one driver setting a time on the mediums. That was Racing Slade. He's on another outlap now. Might be ducking into the pits. No, he's going to go round again as we come up then to this lovely section into turn 1. See a lot of overtakes here with the DRS. The second one of the lap as it comes round into turn 1 then.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good DRS zone to do some overtakes, but you only have to be cautious in the first sector to stay on the rear of the car in front, because the dirty air will make it a bit difficult for some people.
Yeah, as you say, tyre wear a big thing around most of these tracks. And just Semi-Oars, Racing Slade's rear end kicks out and he's round in and he's into the wall. So Racing Slade will have to either come in again for the softs, or he will not take part again. Digweed goes fastest and a 1:32.5 from the Racing Point driver. They've always been really good in qualifying, and they're showing their pace again just over the one lap.
Yeah, and I'm pretty wondering that the gap from the first place Digweed to the 15th is so big, because we saw Academy races where it was much tighter, where all people were in like a second or two. So I think the last 5 minutes could be really interesting. Who will go out again and set a faster lap?
Well, in the meantime, while we've been talking, Christian Galang then, who's got a shot at the championship, he needs to win the race for his best chance at winning, because obviously M66 has that 19-point advantage. So really, unless Christian wins, and he'll be in big trouble. If he takes second place, of course, he needs the fastest lap and M66 not to finish. So he needs to be up there anyway, and he's showing that one lap pace like he has done for most of the season. M66 is out again as well. He's coming through 4, 5 and 6 now. Really nice sort of traction there from the McLaren. As he's coming through sector 1, he goes purple, so he's 7/10 up in that first sector already. comes round down towards turn 11 now for this lovely long straight down the back. Again, the DRS zones, as you were mentioning, very nice for overtaking here in Texas. In the braking zone towards turn 12, I expect to see a lot of drivers diving down the inside into this corner. Notable shout outs as well to the Williams, both of them in the top 10 as well. Murphy and Vegas currently 8th and 9th, as with a little problem with Toonfan there, so that is a bit of a problem. Hopefully he can rejoin shortly as Assault King's going again then. He's currently down in P11. He's coming through now.
Oh, and what is the Racing Point doing?
Let's see that.
Just
I assume that's
the way of M66. Let's see if it's
132.4. Wow,
great lap, great lap.
We had there the Racing Point of Digweed by the looks of things. We've got Pheasant Plucker coming round now. Remember, he's got that 5-place grid penalty from that earlier bit of contact. But here we go, he's about to come down the line now. It's a 132.1, so Pheasant Plucker once again 3 tenths faster than M66, puts him what is currently 6th, so that'll put M66 on pole with Digweed in second. 2 minutes and 53 seconds left then, so you really need to be leaving the garage in the next 30 seconds if you want to be setting a lap time. To try and improve. Oh, wide on the exit from Christian as he come out of turn 2, put the power down a little bit too early as he comes up through into 3, 4 and 5, and he runs a little bit wide on the exit, but he keeps it through turn 6, so like through turn 7. It's a nice and clean there.
And now maybe he gets the slipstream of the Alpha or not.
Yeah, so he's coming through down towards turn 11. Is that race? So that Alfa Romeo is on an outlap, so it needs to get out of the way sharpish for Christian. But like you said, he will be able to use this slipstream then as he opens the DRS. You can already see that extra few miles per hour that he gained from that bit of slipstream. Here we go. He comes in towards turn 12. It's a nice exit there from him. So a few drivers coming out on their outlaps then. We have got Digweed, 4-star, Rao, Murphy, Racing Slade as we've just seen, and Chris Panda, who's yet to set a lap time on there. Dat Roland, one of the other drivers, yet to set a time. He's currently in 17th, but he's coming through turn 12 now. What's his time like in this second sector? So 103.0, needs to be 136 roughly. It's quite hard to judge what sort of time you need I find in short qualifying, because obviously you don't have a knockout round, so you sort of, your aim is to obviously get as high as you can, but we shall see. He's coming round the final few corners now then. Dat Roland in that Mercedes crossed the line. It's a 133.9, so that puts him P6. But I don't know if you can see there, Christian, now that set of soft tyres has done 4 laps already.
Yeah, it's pretty something special that somebody's doing 4 hard laps in 80 minutes. I didn't see that much till now, but he was going fast with the 133.9, I think, and he has a good chance in the race with that. Yeah,
there's like you said, it 4 lap old tyres on a flyer lap. You've got a Red Bull, or so it's crashing. The Toro Rosso has gone wide through turn 14, I think that is. As Matt goes P8 then, so Matt's come through on his lap previously, has gone P8, so I think that's his best qualifying of the season if he stays there. As we've got a few drivers now coming around the final few corners. He's got 5 seconds. I don't think Assault King will make the thing, and I just don't think that Murphy's going to make it, even though so Murphy misses out on a time lap by just a few seconds. But at the top, the most crucial thing is Pheasant Plucker currently sits on pole with only a few drivers left on track. Digweed, his teammate, currently in at P3, will be on the front row for the moment. Remember that 5-place grid penalty for Pheasant Plucker as he collided with Vegas at the first on the first outlap. That was down at turn 11 as we come through 13 now with Digweed. We've got a few drivers running wide there. There's a Mercedes very, very wide. Dat Roland there on his in-lap has pushed that car a little bit too far. Matt drops down to 9th. What a good lap that was from him. Forstar will pit from 11th as we wait then for a few drivers.
Oh, he's going wide there. Digweed was going pretty wide.
Yeah, he's gone very wide, but he comes across the line. Where does Digweed put that racing point? And he stays third, but he will be on the front row by the looks of things, with Pheasant Plucker given that grid penalty. What can Rao do? He's coming through. He's a second up though on his.
He invalidated already, so
yeah, he's a second down.
For the race.
Yeah. But we see that. I think that's the end of qualifying. We got crashed down in 17th place. McConey 11th retired in the pit lane, so that's not too much about. Rao banks off his lap, and there we have it then. The final pole position of 2019 in the CRA goes to Pheasant Plucker, but of course technically it will be M66 with that 5th place grid penalty. So Digweed will be on the front row for the first time this season. Chris did that one run, puts him P4. The second in the title race is Christian Galang. He will start P5. He's got 3 places behind his rival M66, but with a 50% race, anything can happen. Toon then on his one run goes 6th. A few internet problems for him means he couldn't go out again. And we got a message there from Crash Gaming saying he ran out of fuel on the 3rd lap, so he was trying to avoid a few cars, but that's all good. Messages from Harvey coming in. Murphy and Vegas, probably the most consistent and similar pace drivers I've ever seen, and I would say I have to agree with that. They've been quite a few races where they've been both on race and qualifying side by side. But there we have it. You can see there that 5th place grid penalty, all important for Pheasant Plucker. Would have been his maiden pole following his maiden victory last time out, but he will start in P6. So M66 and Digweed will be on the front row. It'll be Chris and Christian Galang on row 2. Toonfan and Dat Roland follow behind them, but obviously they'll be sandwiched with a Pheasant Plucker between them. Rao, Royal Viking and Matt qualifies in the top 10. Very good qualifying for Matt then. So I asked you this question in qualifying, and I'll ask you the same question again now, Krista. Where do you see your initial thoughts on the victory going?
I think M66 has the biggest chances. He is on pole now. He is one of the fastest drivers, and if Christian is not making up 3 or 4 places on the first lap, he will get a win, I think.
Yeah.
What do you say about it?
I mean, I've commentated on every race here at the Academy this season, and a lot of the times, like you mentioned, it's been that two-way fight between M66 and Christian. But the longer this season has gone on, the more drivers that have been coming in doing better. Pheasant Plucker taking victory last weekend, Toonfan taking a victory in his 2nd race. He fought up in Austria, qualified on the mediums, got that podium. So for me, I would have initially at the start of the season said M66 based on the fact that he's on pole, but I actually see the Racing Points doing quite well again. I don't know if they'll have the pace, but for me, yeah, I think M66 is in great position for the race, and obviously taking the title with that. Remember, if he finishes 7th or above, and Christian Galang doesn't get the fastest lap and the race victory, he will be champion. So it's almost stacked 90-10 in favour of M66, but as we know, both on Formula 1 and in the CRA, that anything can happen. I think it's a quick mention to say, obviously, that here in the Academy it is all about development, it is all about learning and improving. So you might have seen earlier we're on board with Racing Slade, and he went into the wall coming through turn 10, didn't lose his front wing. That is because we run a reduced damage rather than crashing out on the first lap and you not being able to use his experience. We obviously allow reduced settings, meaning that you can just lose a part of your front wing when you should be losing your whole front wing, and obviously using that experience there. So this formation lap then, M66 leading the pack, the Racing Point of Digweed behind, then it's Chris in the Renault, another strong qualifying from him, Christian Galang and Toonfan 4 and 5, Pheasant Plucker in P6, wearing the number 6 on that car, so nice bit of symmetry there. Dat Roland in 7th, Rao and Royal Viking are ahead of Matt, who completes the top 10. Matt in the top 10 for the first time this season, I believe, in qualifying. So we've got McConey in 11th, 4-star in 12th. The two Williams are on row 7, I think that is, 13th and 14th. Assault King in 15th, and then Racing Slade and Crash round out the grid. So here we go then. The title battle will go down to these next few laps. 28 of this 3.6 kilometer track here in Austin, Texas. Are you ready, Chris?
I'm totally ready. I'm asking you, what do you think will Christian do on the start? Will he totally sand it in the first corner, or will he be a bit cautious?
I think he's got to play it safe. It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish, and for him, he needs to finish this very strongly. As we see, the 5 lights are ready to come on. We always have this problem with the game, but here we go then. 5 lights on your screen there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the 5 red lights. The cars are revving. And we're racing here at the CRA. It's a good start from one of the cars at the back there. The Red Bull of Assault King already flying. M66 gets away cleanly. It's a good start from Chris as well. Coming to someone, you see Christian there on the inside. They've got to make it cleanly. Oh no! And the Racing Point. There's a bit of pandemonium there. A few front wings flying left, right, and centre. But M66 holds on to first place. Then Digweed and Chris. Toon has great places. Christian though, we said he needed a good start. He's dropped down to 7th, so not what he needed as they come through turns 5, 6, and 7. What a start from the Williams of Vegas. He's up to 9th then, coming through the hill up towards turn 10. The gap is nearly a second at the front there from M66, so he's doing what he needs to do. The biggest loser you see there, Christian Galang, as there we've got a car round at the back. I think, I'm not sure who it is. It looked like it was Crash Gaming, and unfortunately for him, he has gone around at turn 9. But what a start from M66, Chris.
What a crazy start. He did really, really good. He's already 1.5 seconds up the next driver, so he did really good. But I'm just a bit sad for Christian, who had a bit of contact with the both Racing Points. I think that's the reason he lost some positions.
Yeah, it's like you said, you asked me just before the lights went out, what does he need to do? Does he send it or does he not? And I said he needs to be careful, because obviously it's not about where you start, where you finish, especially in a 50% race. Things are a little bit different. But he's dropped 2 places then into 6th. Pheasant Plucker gaining that position off him as well. Toonfan into 4th. The top 3 remain the same on the first lap then, as we start lap 2 of 28. There's a 3-second time penalty for Vegas already. He's made the jump up to 9th. I think that was a Red Bull going wide as well there, as Assault King dives into the pit lane. He's got no front wing, so he's in the box for the first time this afternoon. And we got Rao's gone round as well. Sorry, Chris. Oh, Rao reset to track. That would be one for the stewards later. Remember, we don't allow that here at CRA, so maybe it'd be a let off, considering it's the last race. But I've just looked, it's 2.5 seconds now between M66 and Digweed.
He's doing so good. He has the pace. It's just now about the strategy. Will he do 1 stop or 2 stops? I think that will be the race decision, if he can keep this pace up.
That is it, and there, I don't know if you can see it, Chris, but on my screen I'm on board with Christian Galang, and the problem is he's facing the wrong way. He's lost it coming through turn 9, and he's lost his front wing. He's down in P12. So M66 has made a strong start, but also Christian Galang, his nearest rival, has gone there. Pheasant Plucker making a move then as well through the middle sector. He's gone up to P3 then, taking Toonfan and Chris as they come through turn 12. We've got another car round. That looks like it's Crash Gaming again. Apologies, no, it was just the car of Rao, who's retired from this session. But you were just saying how M66 has pace, but his nearest rival, Christian Galang, losing it through turn 5, I think it was. I saw the yellow flags, I saw on the minimap it was red, and I could just see him dropping down as well. So he is...
Toro Rosso and the McLaren crashing. Crash Gaming and McConey came together, both lost a bit of front wing.
Oh dear, so there'll be some pit stops potentially there from them, as Toonfan runs a little bit deep into turn 1. There's a nice little battle here behind M66 for the podium places. Digweed started second, he's just a few tenths ahead of his teammate, and then all the way down to Dat Roland in sixth. They're separated by just under a second and a half, I think it is. So we'll see a little bit of a DRS train as we've got a Williams round then. That's Murphy by the looks of things. No, it's not, sorry, apologies, it's Vegas has gone off. Once again being caught out by that Maggots and Beckett's like section. Think he's missing a bit of his front wing as well. Yep, there you can see significant damage to the right front of that Williams car. Christian is in the pits, he's just come out. Interesting to see what tyres he's gone on. It is the medium, so we did mention as well about that tyre strategy. You surprised that Christian's gone on the mediums and not the hards?
I think he has to take the gamble for the safety car, because I think you cannot finish the race on the medium tires for 25 laps, but he has to take the gamble and go for the speed he gets with the medium tires.
Yeah, or Pheasant Plucker runs wide then, coming through the last few corners. I think it's turn 15. Pheasant Plucker went too deep into the corner. That's put Digweed and Toonfan back past him, but he's going to make a run down there of 3 abreast almost, and there's contact between Toon and Digweed, but Pheasant Plucker gains 2 places then. Chris looks down the inside of the Alfa Romeo. What a nice move that is. So come through Dat Roland on the outside. Now to the inside, sorry, he's got DRS, but Toonfan has the traction out of the corner, and he moves back up into 5th place. What a little battle this is we've got on our hands.
The Alfa Romeo dives in again, and he will do it. He done again.
Yeah, and that put Chris at risk from a move as they come through turn 3. Dat Roland looking down the inside of that Renault. Oh, you can see there just how these drivers are taking this middle section through turns 3 to 7. And as much as this is all well and good for racing, M66 7.3 seconds ahead now at the front of this race. So could the championship be over with just 4 laps gone on here in America? But like you said, Toonfan,
so.
Yeah, Toonfan making a move down the inside of Digweed. They'll have DRS. They all have DRS apart from Pheasant Plucker. So is he going to be able to keep hold of these positions?
I think Toonfan will make it because he has the slipstream, but
yeah, they're going to all make a dive, are they not? No. Oh, Toonfan, a little kick out from the rear there. That allows Chris just to close back in a little bit. But they all remain there. 4-Star and Royal Viking trading 7th and 8th place then as they come through turn 14 now up the hill towards 15. Is the Red Bull going to make a dive down the inside? Yes, he does. He takes P7 ahead of 4-Star. Chris is up past
crash on the
Digweed.
front, the Alpha and Chris, and with
yeah, we saw a little bit of a carbon fibre flying. I'm not sure who's got. Oh, Toonfan is missing that front wing end plate, so he must have made that damage, and he'll suffer the consequences when they come through turns 5, 6 and 7. You'll be able to see that he'll have to pull up. He makes a move down the inside then of Digweed, but a little bit too deep with that front wing damage, but he's got the move done, and Digweed has gone from 2nd to 5th in the space of a few laps.
They are delivering great racing. It's great to see the academy drivers delivering so great on the last race of the season.
Exactly, and I said we had originally 8 rounds, but they asked for 10, and we delivered 10, and all we said is deliver us clean racing and great races alongside it. And I mean, if this is not proof of that, then I don't know what is. 10 seconds now almost between M66 and Pheasant Plucker, and barring a safety car, I think that's the race victory for the McLaren driver.
It will be, but Christian is already back in 14th position.
Yeah, so here once again 4-Star making a move with DRS down the inside of Royal Viking. That takes 7th. Matt back up towards the points. He's in P9 then. So unlucky last week not to get into points, given that drive-through penalty after the VSC. He is in 9th now, looking for his first points of the season. Got a nice gap between him and the Racing Slade Alfa Romeo just behind him. We've got a nice little battle for what is P11 here, Crash and McConey. McConey has pit though, and fitted those mediums. Dat Roland's given a 3-second time penalty, so as much as he's having battle with that, he's now been given a penalty.
But now he could go for the move on Chris Panda. He's really near to his rear. Let's see if he can do it. But it seems like Chris Penda is going on Wiesenplacker now.
Yeah, he's making a move around the outside. It's a tight line from Wiesenplacker. Not a very nice camera angle there from the game, but we can see the Racing Point making a move down the inside, then keeping his position as they come through this lovely section. This camera angle shows just how much you throw the car left and right, and Toonfan is given a 3-second time penalty as well. So that's 2 of those 6 drivers with a penalty. Be interesting to see where they are come the end of the race.
And you have to say, for us as visitors of the race, it's really nice to see the battles. But for M66 it's even better, because he can pull away, has the gap, and can save some tires for the race.
Yeah, you've got a point there. I said 10 seconds that gap between M66, and barring any mistakes, he's in the perfect position. Remember, you lose about 20 or 30 seconds in the pit lane. I can't remember off the top of my head whether it's a 37km speed limit here in Circuit of the Americas, but he's doing what he needs to be done. That gap now 11 seconds. Or as we see the Racing Point one very wide, then Wiesenplacker goes wide again. Here it comes.
Chris Penda is going on the outside.
Yeah, he might make a move down the inside in towards turn 19, but he stays behind. He'll have a good run though as they come through a final corner. Lovely helicopter shot. Shows you just how close Chris will be. Is Dat Roland as well in the background. We'll have the DRS on them both. How will Chris use this end as they come up the hill towards turn 1? We can see him gaining on that Racing Point. He's going to look down the inside, but he's just a bit too far back this time. What about Dat Roland? Toonfan and Digweed have dropped a little bit, as there's a 3-second time penalty for Digweed and Wiesenplacker on the same corner. So all of these top 5 drivers in this battle have 3-second penalties to their name.
Yeah, it's something we talked about in the qualifying. It will be really interesting to see how many penalties someone will get in the first sector for the race.
Yeah, very interesting, as you say.
And now, again, Chris Penda is really near to the rear of Wiesenplacker, who goes wide.
Yeah, he ran a little bit wide. That put a great move there for Chris by the looks of things. If he's going to get it done down the inside, he needs to be done before the braking zone to give you the best chance of making turn 12. It looks like he's up from this camera angle, and there it is. You can see he makes the braking zone, but Wiesenplacker's right alongside him. Wiesenplacker will have the inside line up towards turn 13, and you can see there he run a little bit wide on the exit, and Dat Roland's there in the background. It'll be Wiesenplacker down here. So what a great little battle this is then. As
and
they go,
Chris Penda's going again. Great.
Yeah,
racing.
Chris's rear sticking a little bit out there as they come through turn 18, and it's Chris who's ahead through turn 19. He's managed to get that move done. We can see Dat Roland peels off into the pit lane, so the first of these runners to make that gamble. As you can see, the tyres now starting to go on these cars. 8 laps into the race. Toonfan dives in as well. Matt Warner's given a he's given a 5-second penalty for corner cut, and just as we jump on board with him, the Ferrari driver's in the wall. So not a good corner and end to the lap for him. He drops down into P10. He's looking to come in then at the end of this lap, more than likely, as Toonfan replaces his wing. That'll drop him down. I think Royal Viking able to get the jump on him there. Where has everyone come out? So Dat Roland has come out in P7.
A 3-second penalty as well.
Yeah, so another 3-second penalty for Chris. 3 seconds more than the Racing Point, so running 3rd and 4th. 4-star running well in 5th. He's yet to stop, but he's caught this pack then. So another driver to add into the mix. But in my head, I see Dat Roland being able to use the undercut very well, as Wiesenplacker is going to look down the inside of Chris, as 4-star looks down the inside of Digweed. So Wiesenplacker stays ahead, but 4-star gets ahead in terms of Racing Points. What about Digweed? Can he keep up with 4-star at the exit through the corner?
And 4-star is really in the battle because he hasn't got a penalty till now.
Yeah, so
if he can keep up the pace, he's a contender for a podium, I think.
Yeah, as things stand. Oh, you've got yellow flags in sector 3. That is a racing point. That is Pheasant Plucker, and Pheasant Plucker is round at turn 18. He's in the wall, and he will be diving into the pit lane. That is not good news for him. So there we have it. One of the first drivers not buckling under the pressure. I think that's the wrong word
he
to
got
use.
off again.
Yeah, those wheels really struggling in the tyre temperature window. That puts Dat Roland ahead of him then, so the undercut working through. He'll make a move then on Racing Slade as they come up towards turn 1 using that DRS. Puts him down the inside. He's up into 5th place. Toonfan coming out in 9th then. 4-star up on the podium. You just mentioned about he's really in this battle. He's currently sitting on that podium.
And he's getting closer and closer to Chris. He's already within the second for the DRS. Let's see what will happen there.
All the while, M66 is extending his advantage at the front. He's now 15.5 seconds ahead of Chris. What a drive it's been from the McLaren drivers so far. We're not even halfway through, and he's almost got half a pit stop in front. But here comes the Racing Point down the inside of 4-star. They both had DRS, which is quite surprising. Can Digweed get that car slowed down? 4-star runs a bit wide, but nice move from the Racing Point driver there.
But you can see Digweed's tires are already graining the fronts.
Yeah, the graining on these tyres quite heavy, especially with the battling that they've been doing. Not so good for them. I wonder if they'll dive in the pits though. Lap 10 of 28 for M66. There you go then. So Chris is in the pit lane. Digweed stays on. 4-star stays on. So the question is, will Dat Roland jump Chris in this pit stop window? And it looks like he will. So that undercut working out well for the Mercedes driver. He's just coming past the finish line now. Sets the fastest lap of the race to 1:37.1 for him. Chris on the harder tyres though. So Chris opting for the 1-stop strategy. Dat Roland will be going for a 2-stop. Toonfan 1:36.5. Wow, what a lap from the Alfa Romeo driver.
And Toon is only on the medium tires. It's really a great lap what he did.
Yeah,
if he can keep up the pace, he can get back to the pack.
Yeah, as you said there, he's opted for the medium tyres. Oh, runs very wide there at turn 5 though. As we see,
and Christian back in 10th already.
I was about to say, yes, we see Christian Galang has moved up into P10. He is back in the points, but not enough at the moment to give him a chance to win the championship, as Matt Warner then come out at the back of the pack following that spin the previous laps. Digweed still in P2, but he's dropped another 2 seconds behind M66. That gap 18 seconds. So interesting to see what M66 does. I think he's got the pace and the tyre management to go on that 1 stop as he comes around again. Lap 11 of 28 we're about to start. There you go, 10 laps on those softs. The graining doesn't look too bad, but won't be long till he needs to replace those. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. There's a Ferrari round, and I think that's Matt. He's gone round.
Digweed is diving in the pits
at turn 10. So there's Digweed then into the pits. He's gone, 4-star's gone 1 lap longer though, so he's going to need to try and get out. We're looking out for Dat Roland, so that he is past Digweed up into 3rd. What about Chris on those harder compound tyres? He's coming through the pit straight now. Does he jump Digweed? You can see the Racing Point on the left hand side there. Gets out behind the Renault, but he's on the medium tyre, so he's going for that 2-stop by the looks of things. What a good pit window for the Mercedes and the Renault. Dat Roland 3rd and Chris 4th.
Yeah, it really was. They really had that. They saw the opportunity and they took it. But let's see if they can get out 30 seconds out of these tires to get the second pit stop done.
Yeah, I mean it's a net P2 almost at the moment for Dat Roland, because 4-star yet to pit. He's also 20 seconds now behind M66, so this is going to plan for the McLaren driver.
I think M66 has no pressure anymore. He knows he has the gap, he has the speed. I think he will have the tires at the end. I think he's pretty safe at the moment.
As he dives into the pit lane there. So the race leader dives into the pits interesting to see what he'll go for. Will he go for that one stop like we've been talking about, or is he going to attempt a two-stopper? We shall see. See on the left-hand side, the McLaren mechanics are ready for him. It looks like the yellow-walled mediums for your championship leader as he comes out the pit lane. He was 20 seconds ahead of 4-star. He will still. So that is 4-star out in at P2. Then Dat Roland is coming across the line. He takes second place. So the gap between him and M66 is just 3 seconds, remember. But Dat Roland needs to pit again, and M66, if he manages them well, only needs to do 16 laps on that medium tyre.
And even if he slows down and only gets second, he will be champion. So he's so safe at the moment. And if we don't see a safety car, he will take the championship.
Yeah, Toon fans given another 3-second time penalty then for corner cut. A few drivers getting caught out by the track limits here in America. Christian Galang, you mentioned there about the title for M66. Christian needed really to win this race for the best chance of him being the champion. He is in P8, which means that, as you mentioned, M66, bar anything drastic happening, is in pole position to be the inaugural champion of the CRA. But we still got 16 laps to go. Dat Roland, the biggest winner from that pit stop window, he's gone up to second. Chris is third, but he's got Toon Fan on the back, and Toon Fan dives down the inside, then gets that move done into turn 12. He picks up third place. He's on the faster compound tyre compared to the Renault driver, but it's about managing them well, not about just being on them fast. He sets a purple sector 2 in the midst of all that as well. Royal Viking, pretty good performance from him. We're not really mentioning very much, but he's in P5, pit a few laps earlier than all these drivers, and finds himself in the middle of this battle.
There are some drivers who are doing great today without us seeing it, because the battles on the track are so tight. Yeah, so
we mentioned him, yeah. 3-second time penalty for the Red Bull driver. Pheasant Plucker's dropped down to 10th after that spin, so he was in that battle for the podium places, but he's dropped down after replacing that front wing. McConey has moved up to 9th, and we've got 4-star coming out of the pits. He drops to 7th, so staying out a little bit longer has not worked for him there. Digweed in 6th, Royal Viking 5th, Chris, Toon and Dat Roland are all trailing in the midst of M66, who's kept that gap at about 3 seconds despite being on this slower tyre. But you can see already 5 laps for Dat Roland. This camera angle showing a little bit of graining starting to appear, and M66 should from here be able to pull away. What about Toon Fan and Chris? So Chris will have the DRS, sorry.
Oh, no problem. I just wanted to say that Toon Fan just recovered so good from the broken front wing. He will be second because that Roland will have to pit again. He's showing us some decent pace.
As Dat Roland is another driver to suffer 3-second time penalty now for him, and we can see already 4.7 seconds that gap at the front now, just over the 1 lap. But you mentioned Toon being able to take second, with Dat Roland needing to pit again. He run 2 sets of soft tyres. They don't go that far, and we've seen already they only go about 10 laps before they really start to wear off. But also you do need to run those 2 different sets of dry tyres, so he will need to either fit the mediums or the hards on his next visit into the pit lane. But this is a nice little battle we've got going on between Toon and Chris for what is net P2, with Toon on the mediums and Chris on the hards. But I think Toon also has more penalties than Chris, so
he has, and it's just a matter of time when the hards get better than the mediums.
Yeah,
I think we will have a good battle here again.
Yeah, another close battle on track coming up the hill towards turn 10 is that between Digweed and Royal Viking. So Royal Viking's got 3 lap older tyres, and Digweed will have the DRS as they come down the braking zone towards turn 11 and see how good the exit is from the racing point. We'll ride on board of him for this DRS zone. Then you can see the Red Bull had good traction out the corner, but already the closing speed from this Mercedes engine. He dives to the left hand side. Oh no!
Whoa! Safety. This will be a safety car.
Oh my word!
What did they do?
Digweed is out of this race.
And now we will see what Christian will do. Will he pit again for soft tires and then go for it totally? Because now the safety car all is open again.
As the safety car comes out, then what a disappointment for the Red Racing Point. I'm not quite sure what happened then, but it looked like the Red Bull was just coming across and took out the Racing Point. But hugely disappointing for Digweed then, as he was on course for a good finish, and unfortunately his race is over and the end of his season at that, as we see a few drivers diving in the pit then. So fresh mediums for M66. Toonfan opts to stay out though. Fresh mediums for Dat Roland. Chris is in the pits as well. What tyres he going for? He's going for fresh mediums. So as you mentioned there, yeah, as you mentioned, Murphy's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. That would be disappointing for him. Not the race he would have wanted to end the season on. Royal Viking serves the penalty as Christian gets out in P6. So brilliant timing for him.
Yeah, now it gets the decision will done on the streets now, I think, because M66 now in P2, it can be dangerous to get the overtake done for the first place, as we saw it with Royal Viking and Digweed on the straight.
Yeah, as Toonfan surprised me that he hasn't pit. So he's on 7-lap-old mediums, opted to stay out, and I don't think those tyres, having done 7 laps, will go to the end. So we'll wait to see what happens there, as all the drivers, apart from Assault King, Crash, Racing Slade and 4-Star, using this opportunity to dive into the pit lane. Assault King on 13-lap-old hard tyres. Interesting choice from them, as Matt comes into the pits as well.
But I think it's a great decision of Toonfan that he got that he stays out and wants to be first in the last race. You can try it. If you don't make it, it's sad, but it's the last race of the season. You have to gamble for a good position.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at the mini-map and I'm thinking we're going to have another lap potentially to unsafe car. Obviously Matt at the back of the pack will need to catch up, but I've seen the game before restart the race without the cars all being bunched up.
And I think Toonfan wants to go faster. He's on the rear of the safety car, if you see it.
Yeah, he's all over the back of that safety car. Remember, he can't overtake it though, as it is a safety car period.
But now for the first 2 laps after the safety car, it's only about who has the heat in the tires, because the medium tires are hard to get the heat in.
Yeah. As we quick check, I do apologise, as yeah, huge disappointment for Digweed with that contact with the Red Bull. Was running really well,
as looking for the pit stops done, and there are pretty many people who stayed out on the track and did not pit for the second time.
Yeah, so be interesting to see what happens there. If you've only just tuned in or you didn't catch it, the safety car is out following an incident with the Racing Point of Digweed, making a move down the inside of Royal Viking, and at the same time Royal Viking squeezed him into the wall. He lost both his front wheels, and he is out of this session. We can see there all the drivers bar Matt are in this train, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the safety car dip in this lap.
I think it will be. Most of the times the safety car does 2 laps and then dives in again, and then I hope we will see 11 laps of great racing.
Yeah.
And I think the restart is pretty hard to get right on this track, because the last little straight before the last corner is too short to get a gap to the second to the second car of M66.
Yeah. So here we go then, the safety car is in. Matt's at the back of this pack as well. Toon Fan then will lead this pack through turn 18. When do you put the power down? Do you go at turn 19 or do you wait till the pit straight?
I would wait for the pit straight.
As we see the safety car is away. We got an angle just how close. M66 looking racy behind Toon Fan. Oh, Christian Galang
going.
3 second time penalty is. Toon Fan puts the power down, a little bit of a kick out, but he's got this restart sorted and he will remain in first then as they come up towards turn 1 following the safety car period. It's looking down the pack then. Are they all going to make it through cleanly?
He's going on 4-star.
He's making a move, as is Christian down the inside of Racing Slade, getting that move done then, as Chris, like you mentioned, looking down the inside of 4-star. But the Haas stays there. We've got yellow flags in sector 1 again, and Murphy and Crash Gaming have seemingly come together, going off at turn 3. That puts the Williams down in 15th place. We've got 11 laps left in the season. What was that, Krishna?
Murphy lost all the end plates of the right side of his front wing, so he has to pit, and the race is over for him, unfortunately.
So contact with the wall for him then, as Pheasant Plucker is overtaken by Racing Slade. Remember, no DRS until lap 19 because of that safety car. This is the battle for the lead then. Toon Fan opting to stay out on his medium tyres. He's got M66 who did pit just behind. Dat Roland is in 3rd place as well.
He has to get in front of Booth a second. If he wants to stay first, he has to get the gap of the second. Because with the long DRS straight, it will be too hard with the old Williams to stay in front of M66.
Yeah, you can see from that sequence of corners, it got up to 6/10, but through those corners it was down again, and we'll have no DRS, remember, till lap 19. So Toon really needs to put the throttle down and get away. 20 laps seems a lot of an ask for these medium tyres though, and a pit stop at the moment.
Oh, is he spinning?
And Toon Fan's out. He's in the wall. We said those medium tyres were going to struggle, and it looks like he's had no traction, and that is hugely disappointing for the Alfa Romeo driver. That gives M66 the lead. He's got no front wing. He will have to pit then. Hugely disappointing for Toon Fan after leading this race following that safety car, but the new leader is M66, and Dat Roland is just behind in second. Not the first time we've said that M66 has been at the front of this pack. 4-star there in the podium position as well. We've got Christo in the background making a move down the inside. Is he going to have the speed and traction to put it down the inside into turn 12?
Oh, it looks like that Forrester is just a bit past on the straight.
Oh, and it's very close.
Great defending of Forrester.
Christian was looking there as well. Another time penalty was given out. I've lost track of all the time penalties, but Christian Galang as well looking very tasty in this battle. He'll be licking his lips. Pheasant Plucker back up after his spin. He currently is in P6. Then you've got Racing Slade, McConey, Viking and Vegas all in the points as McConey gets down the inside of Racing Slade and using those soft tyres. Remember, he'll have to pit again though. They won't go till the end.
As Chris is pitting again. I think he broke some bit of the front wing.
Yeah, so Chris is in the box then. That'll drop him right down, but he'll go on the softs. Pheasant Plucker's down the inside of Christian up the hill. Is he going to get the move done? Looks like he has. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. And they almost touched then. Christian is forced wide, and Pheasant Plucker gets the move done via his elbows.
But I think it was just into the limits. It was okay. He could go for it. Yeah. He had the line. I think it was fair.
Yeah, 4-star now. The car in front of him. As while you were talking there, Chris, Toon Fan has retired from this race. Hugely disappointing for him. He's boxed and gone into DNF. 15 runners left, and we've got 9 laps to go. M66 leads Dat Roland. He's pulled out of DRS, crucially for him. 4-star is in 3rd, but you can see there the DRS open on the racing point. He's going to be looking down the inside. He brakes later, and he gets that move done. Lovely move from the racing point there.
Great overtaking in this lap of him. He took Christian on the main straight, and now in the DRS zone he took Forster. He's doing great in this time of the race.
Yes, another driver retiring then, Crash Gaming out of this race. Christian
and I
Galang.
think Wiesenflacker has the pace to get to that Roland.
Yeah, like I say, he's got a lap younger tyres, so he has tyre life in terms of that, but 4 seconds in 8 laps isn't that bad, as you mentioned. I think he might have the pace to catch up, possibly even to M66, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. 4-star then in 4th, Christian Galang chasing him down. McConey using those soft tyres to get up into P6, but I think unfortunately for him he will need to pit and he'll drop down quite a lot. We've got Racing Slade, Royal Viking, Vegas and Assault King fighting for those final few points there, but don't rule out Matt. He's just a few tenths behind Assault King as we come through turn 8 into turn 9. He'll be looking to make a move then down into turn 11, possibly in the DRS straight. We shall see. We're right on board with then the battle for P10. Sorry to hear that about your race, Crash. It's been a pleasure commentating on you and the rest of the guys this season. We hope you come back even stronger next season as Royal Viking makes a move on Racing Slade. But this is Matt. DRS, is he going to make a move into the braking zone? No, he will not. They're coming through turn 11 now. Those harder tyres on Assault King, 18 laps old, so it'll be interesting to see how long he stays out before he decides to pit. Chris then, after pitting a few laps ago, is down in P12, but he's on the soft tyres and does have the pace if he can catch up to the cars in front of him at the front of this race. Pheasant Plucker sets the fastest lap of the race then. As you said, Christian is going pretty fast, and that gap coming down by a few tenths or so every corner.
Yeah, he's only 3 seconds off that Roland, and I think he will catch up on him till the last lap.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether it's a case of M66 going fast. There we go, Chris VK Panda, 135.043, the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. Won't be scoring the point though at the moment because he is down in P12, 5 seconds off the battle for P10. But with 7 laps to go, I'd expect that once again to come down. This is the battle for P2 then. You can see on board with Pheasant Plucker the Mercedes of that Roland in the foreground.
Yeah, as Vegas is in the 9th position and is just on the back of Racing Slade. Maybe he gets it done now with the DRS.
Yeah. As that gap 3.3 seconds as it stands. What about 4-star and Christian Galang? Well, 4-star 3.8 seconds behind Pheasant Plucker, but only a second now separating him and Christian. Vegas has made a move on Racing Slade using that DRS. Good move from him. We've got Royal
think
Viking.
Racing Slade is just really struggling with tyres too. They are 10 laps old, and you see the pace is going off the tyres.
Yeah, what about this battle then? Matt is over the back of the gearbox of the Red Bull. He's looking down the inside as the Red Bull runs wide. Matt's going to try and make a move down the inside. The Red Bull's going to try and brake later. Oh, as Assault King is given a 3-second time, but a bit of the traction there from those newer tyres, those younger tyres, sorry, puts Matt into P10. But look at the back of this train, Chris VK Panda in the Renault has the fastest lap and has put the guy down around. Assault King goes down the inside, forces Matt to brake a little bit earlier than usual. And here we go then, the Ferrari has the traction out the corner, but there's a Red Bull in the way of this. What about the view from Chris's car? You can see there they're squabbling through turns 4 and 5. Oh, Matt, it takes a lot of the corner. Is Chris going to make a move down the inside of turn 8? He doesn't.
And
nicely
then Chris
worked.
coming on Matt. Chris took Matt in the corner.
Yeah, nice move down the inside there. What a move from the driver. He's now all over the back of Assault. Oh no, and they've touched!
As they crash again.
Oh,
I
they've
think
touched.
Assault King is having really hard connection issues. He's lagging around really hard. I think it's nothing he does on purpose. It's lagging like crazy. His
As
car.
of all things, there we have it. The safety car is out for the second time today, and I expect to see a flux of cars entering the pit lane. We saw there Chris had all the speed in the run down towards turn 11, but unfortunately for him, he ran into the back of the Red Bull, put them both in the wall. Luckily, they are both only suffering front wing damage. That is the reduced damage function in the full capacity there, hence why they are still in the race. Matt Warner
Plucker is pitting again.
Yeah, so Pheasant Plucker, Christian, McConey and Viking all opt in to go into the pits, probably soft tyres. Yeah, there they are, soft tyres. But interestingly, M66, Dat Roland and 4-Star all staying out on the mediums.
I think for M66 it's the right decision, just avoiding to get into a battle with Christian. But the others, I cannot understand it really. They could go for the soft tires and set a fast lap on them, because now it's just Pheasant Plucker who has the chance to get back to all of them.
Yeah, it's Pheasant Plucker then, the highest of those soft runners. I know you mentioned that it might be good for M66 with the pace he has, but there'll be about 3 or 4 laps to go when the safety car comes in, so it's whether or not Pheasant Plucker, Christian and McConey can make up those positions on those fresh softs. They'll have probably 5 or 6 different overtaking spots, you'd say. The DRS zone here out of turn 11, you have the pit straight. If you can carry the speed through the sequence of 4, 5, 6 and 7, you can use the traction from the fresh tyres, but we shall see.
And you can see that, for example, 4-Stars mediums are already 11 laps old, so I think they will struggle for pace on the last laps.
Yeah, you can see there Racing Slade in 5th as well on 12 lap olds, even Vegas on 8 lap olds, so he hit the same time as the top 2. But that is interesting to see. Christian ahead of his teammate Matt then. McConey, Viking, Chris, Assault King and Murphy have all pit. Any drivers going to make a dive into the pit lane, do you reckon?
I don't think it anymore. I think they will go to the end now, everybody. If the front wing is okay and the tires are under 20%, you don't have a reason to pit again.
Yeah. So here we go then, lap 24, 28. We've got just 4 laps left in this CRA season. M66 is doing what he needs to become champion, but this is a safety car period following a collision between Chris and Assault King. The and the Red Bull both hitting the wall, having to replace their front wings. They're down in 11th and 12th. We've got Dat Roland and 4-Star 2 and 3. Vegas, strong performance from him so far, he's in 4th. We've then got the Alfa Romeo of Racing Slade, Pheasant Plucker back up to 6th. Christian Galang and Matt Warner 7th and 8th for the Ferrari, 9th for McConey in the McLaren and 10th for Royal Viking in the Red Bull, taking the final point.
I think the end of the race will be as great as the beginning of it. It's just what we said in the qualifying. If we have some safety cars, it will be so tight and so exciting to watch. And now we got it done.
And I know we've mentioned the constructors, so the Drivers' Championship quite a bit this race, but we haven't really mentioned the Constructors' Championship, and it looks like it's going to go the way of the McLarens. They've had a strong lead, obviously, with M66 scoring points continually, and their nearest competitors, Racing Point, only got 1 car left running after that incident with Digweed. So if my maths are correct, that will mean that if it stays the same, McLaren will be Constructors' Championship.
Oh, they will be, because McConey is on fresh softs as well. I think he will gain 1 or 2 positions in the rest of the race.
Yeah.
So it could be a double championship for M66.
Yeah, I said we wait to see that now. Then, I wonder if the safety car is going to come in this lap. As we come through turn 18. It looks like it's staying out.
Oh, it's pretty sad.
Here we go then.
Oh, it's in this lap. In this lap.
So will we see? Oh, we've seen a collision in the background there. 5-second penalty for Racing Slade. M66 comes through the final corner. Then is he going to put his foot to the floor? Yes, he is. There we go. He has bombed away from the start. Dat Roland by 8/10. 4-star in third. Where are the soft runners? There they are. You can see already Pheasant Plucker down the inside of Racing Slade up into P5. But he's given another time penalty though.
The penalty again.
Matt and Christian still 7th and 8th. McConey 9th. Chris already up to 10th then. He's fighting once again with Red Bull. This time it's Royal Viking who runs wide out of turn 3. He'll have the inside of turn 4, but the Renault is ahead this time.
Pheasant Plucker overtook Vegas already. He's 4th.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying on this restart. Then we've got 3 laps to go here in Texas. M66 leads by a second now. So remember, no DRS till lap 27 following that safety car. So here is where it stands. M66 leads Dat Roland and 4-star. If M66 stays where he is, he will be champion, not least because his nearest title rival Christian Galang is down in 7th. We've got McConey then all over the back of the Ferrari of Matt Warner. He's going to look down the inside in towards turn 12, but not this time by the looks of things as they come up through the hill. That's Royal Viking looking to make a move down the inside of him into turn 13, but he's given a 3-second time penalty on the exit as Pheasant Plucker overtakes 4-star. So great restart lap for the Racing Point. A little bit of a sharp turn in there, blocks off the Haas driver, and he's now chasing down P2 and Dat Roland as Matt makes a move on Christian as they come through the tight 2-second. The Ferrari goes really wide though. And this kind of carnage there. The cars all bunched up together. That's allowed Chris to move up to P9. Royal Viking takes what is P7. The Alfa Romeo runs wide, puts Royal Viking up into P6. We've got yellow flags.
Gone off.
Yeah, Sulking is round. So he's see a bit of front wing there. McConey's dropped down to 12th. Murphy's in 11th. What a couple of corners that was for Chris Panda. He's now in P9. He's all over the back of Christian Galang. We've got Racing Slade on the inside there as well. It's, they take another position each. Christian Galang then is in 7th. Royal Viking now in P6. What about at the front of this race? Dat Roland is winning the 2nd of M66. Remember, there's no DRS just yet. Pheasant Plucker there in 3rd, chasing down the Mercedes driver. 4-star holding off Vegas for what is P4 at the moment. What about this battle down the back then as well?
But I think he has done some kind of a mistake because he was much closer to Dat Roland the lap before.
Yeah, I said 2.5 seconds means, like you mentioned, there must have been a bit of a twitch or something like that. We got McConey moves up into the top 10, takes the position from Matt down towards turn 11. As we go back up through the pack then, that gap coming down between Pheasant Plucker and Dat Roland, who will come out on top. It looks like M66 has done what he needs to do. DRS has enabled them, so we'll have 2 laps of DRS. They'll be the final 2 laps here at CRA. How's your nerves, Chris?
Oh, I'm just so concentrated on the race right now. It's so exciting to watch it. The Academy is doing so good entertainment tonight. I really love it, what they do.
It's definitely been a brilliant race. I hope you lot watching at home have been very has been very interesting for you as much as it has for us. I do think it's worth mentioning though one thing that we'll see come the end of this race. I don't think M66 has won himself, so he could be in the clear as he comes down turn 11. Now is Dat Roland going to be close enough? I don't think so, but you can see there the flurry of time penalties that have been given for corner cutting. I think penalties could decide the majority of those midfield points paying positions.
It will be, and we just don't know it. We just don't know who will finish where.
And we've got a series of cars with DRS. Sorry to interrupt, Christian, but we've got a series of cars, and Vegas is just absolutely swamped with those cars DRS 3 positions lost in the space of a few metres. A Royal Viking one's very deep into turn 12 though. He joins back in P7. That's put Christian up into P6. Chris Panda takes 6th in his Renault car. Vegas then the big loser there, as we can see Dat Roland and Pheasant Plucker both given penalties. 4-star stays in 4th. He's dropped off a few seconds though from the podium, but as we said, penalties could decide a lot in this race as we're about to start the final lap of the season here at CRA. M66 leads in his McLaren. He will take the championship if he can navigate these 20 corners as he has done for the previous 27 laps. Pheasant Plucker looks down the inside of Dat Roland. He's all over the gearbox of that Mercedes. They've both run wide on the exit of turn 1. He'll have the pace though through 3, 4, 5 and 6 with those softer tyres. You can already see him lifting from the throttle as Chris gets down the inside of Christian. They're side by side through turn 5. Who's going to come out on top? The Renault gets ahead. He takes P5. McConey and Murphy exchanging things. We've got yellow flags out. There's 2 cars off. Matt's round and Racing Slade is in the wall. Disaster for the Ferrari driver. He's lost his front wing, and the Racing Slade Alfa Romeo as well. They unfortunately don't end their season as they had planned. Really disappointing from their point of view. But here we go then.
Plucker is going for
goes
the
down the outside, gets past the Mercedes. He gets the corner, but the Mercedes is later on the brakes. Oh, he runs very wide. Is Pheasant Plucker going to be able to get around the outside of turn 13? Doesn't think he looks for the switchback. Jacob would be proud of that one as he takes the move down into 14. But the Mercedes comes back down the inside, and the switchback again from the Racing Point gives him P2, and he should surely now have the run towards the line. Chris up past 4-star into that final corner, but here we go then. As he comes through turn 19 on towards turn 20. Congratulations once again, what a brilliant season it's been. M66 takes the championship and the victory here in Texas, as Pheasant Plucker will cross the line in second, but Dat Roland takes P2 on penalties. We said they might enter. Who's going to take 4, 5 and 6? The Haas driver looks like he's going to come across the line in 4th, but he takes second. Dat Roland rounds out the podium. It's Pheasant Plucker in 4th, Chris in 5th, Christian Galang in 6th. Valiant effort for him, but it's not enough. Royal Viking, what a drive, 7th place. Vegas, 14 laps on those mediums. He comes across in 8th, but McConey takes 8th as he comes across the line. As a Soul King, in fact, takes 8th. All these time penalties coming into play. We just wait now for Matt to come through the final corners. But there you have it. M66 takes victory here. We come through the final corner now for the final time here at CRA. How unlucky for Matt with that spin. And he crosses the line. Wow, what a race.
What a race. Congratulations again to M66. But I have to say, my driver of the day is 4-star. He had a clean race, and we see the difference in the 50% race. If you don't get penalties, you can be so happy in the end to be in the front and on the podium.
Yeah, it's a brilliant race, isn't it? All in all, like we said, 50% is a whole different ball game to the 25% we were running. But M66 drove with class and superiority to lead almost from start to finish. 4-star, as you mentioned, those long those long stints in his strategy, coming across the line in P4, but taking second with those time penalties. Dat Roland on the podium as well after a brilliant battle with Pheasant Plucker in the final few laps. There, and there we have it. That is the final championship race done here at CRA. M66 takes the win and the championship, and I think that means McLaren with that double points finish are constructors champion. 4-star is second, and then the sequence of penalties, as you can see there, means 4-star is second, Dat Roland third, Pheasant Plucker in 4th, VK Panda 5th, Christian Galang again valiant all season in his fight with M66, but he comes across the line in 6th. It's a 7 and 8 for the Red Bulls. Great drive from the pair then, especially Assault King starting in 15th, McConey 9th and Murphy 10th to round out the points. In terms of my driver of the day, I have to agree with you. I think 4-stars drove brilliantly today. 10 places gained and those amazing stints on those tyres.
Yeah, amazing stints. Not only one penalty he got. Yeah. He just deserved it to get on the podium. But we have to say, M66 is the champion of the season. He really deserved it, and he got it in the last race, in the best race of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what a race for you to join me here in the commentary box. Thank you very much for joining me today, Krishna. We look forward to seeing you driving with us next year. when we restart our season. Hope you've had a great time with us, but that is it for CRA. M66 takes the victory, takes the championship, and gets that double with McLaren. Thank you very much for all of you for watching this year, and we shall see you next time. Thank you for joining.